If your work is done on a computer, Claude Code can do it instead of you, 100%. You don't need to be a developer. You don't need to write a single line of code. But the moment you open it up, you see a black screen, a blinking cursor, and lots of terms like MCPs, sub-agents, context windows, and your brain switches off. I've spent over 200 hours inside Claude Code automating my own business, and I've watched many beginners hit the same wall. So here's the shortcut. In the next 25 minutes, I'll explain the 25 concepts you actually need, one every 60 seconds, like I'm teaching a 10-year-old. By the end, you'll know what to use, when, and how. No coding experience needed. Let's start with concept 1. What is Claude Code and what separates it from something like ChatGPT or Gemini? Well, ChatGPT and Gemini, they talk to you. They give you the instructions, but you are the one actually doing the work. Let's say you want to build a website. Well, the chatbots will give you step-by-step instructions on how to build it yourself. But wouldn't it be amazing to ask for something and have AI actually do it for you? Well, that's exactly what Claude Code does. Instead of giving you instructions, it goes ahead and does the work for you so you can just have a coffee and take a walk. So, what can Claude Code actually do? It can build websites, applications, it has full access to control your computer, so it can create files, folders, PowerPoint documents, Word, Excel in your exact brand style. It can also control all the applications you are currently using in your day-to-day job, even if these applications are disconnected. All these slides that you see right here were created with Claude. Next, how to open Claude Code. This is where most non-technical people actually stop because they get intimidated. Claude lives in your terminal, and you have a few options to open it up. Let's check the terminal first. On Mac, to open the terminal, just use Finder, click Terminal. On Windows, you will open PowerShell. And all we have to do to install it is paste one single command. I will just copy the installation command from the documentation. That's it. So I will install it and then open it up. I just put the command in the terminal and press Enter. That will install Claude. I will not run it one more time because I already have it installed. Next, all we have to do is type Claude to start it up. It asks me to allow permissions to make edits inside this folder. I will say yes, and we have successfully started Claude Code. The problem is not many people like this black screen. This is why we have more user-friendly options. The other two options are integrated development environments. We have one solution from Google and one from VS Code. For neither of these, we need to be technical. We will just use it to open up our folder with files and commands. That's it. We don't need to have any technical background. So both of these are called IDs, Integrated Development Environments. We have two options. The other one is the desktop app. Most people have the tendency to use the desktop app because it is with a user interface. It has buttons and you really feel comfortable with it. I will strongly recommend to give the IDEs 2 weeks. If you don't get used to the IDEs in 2 weeks, then you can go to Claude Desktop. The thing is that Claude Desktop is the last one to get the updates. So we want to enable the full power of Claude Code and learn to use these IDEs. The one that I will show you and the one I use is VS Code. The installation for Visual Studio Code, it's very easy. You will just Google, download, and it is a standard installer for Windows or Mac. It is the same for anti-gravity. Once you install the VS Code or anti-gravity, depending on your choice, I recommend to go with VS Code. It will look like this. What we have to understand is that Claude Code lives in a folder, so we always organize our work with a starting folder, and inside that folder we will keep building new things. All we have to know is the file explorer part, which is this one right here. For now it is empty, so it says open folder. We will create new folder from scratch. And you also have the extensions. If you hover here, extensions and look for Claude, you can install it like this. Once you installed it, you will get an icon that you can click. If I click it, so I have Claude open in VS Code. So I can say hi and it will reply back. Now, this extension, it is very similar with ChatGPT chat, so most people already know this. You just ask it the question and it will reply to you. Now, the thing is that now we see the extension inside our IDE, which is called VS Code, right? But if we want the latest and greatest options that Claude has to offer, what we have to do is in the top menu, I know you don't see it right now, but in the top menu you will have Terminal, New Terminal, and this will open the bottom window like here. So you can see it says Terminal, right? If I type Claude to start it up, it will ask me again, do you trust this folder? Because Claude works at folder level. And I will open Claude. And now, if I use it inside the terminal, I have the full capabilities. So all the capabilities that are released always are deployed first in the terminal. Now, you will ask, what is the advantage of using one of the two possible IDEs, either anti-gravity or VS Code? We have two main advantages. Advantage number one is that once your folder will grow bigger and bigger, you need a way to see all the files. So here in the File Explorer, we will have the hierarchy of all our files. And the second part is that because we can use the terminal, we will get access to the latest capabilities that Anthropic releases on the market. Now, if in 2 weeks you don't get accustomed to the IDEs, you can also try the desktop app, which has three parts. Has the chat. This one, it will behave similar to what you experience in ChatGPT and Gemini, meaning you ask it and then it will tell you what to do. But if you want the most powerful part of Claude, which is Claude Code, you will have to use this one right here. Let me show you how my workspace looks like. So I have here the File Explorer. This is what we are trying to get. As you can see, my main folder, which is this one, in time grew. So I have lots of files and I need to see them, right? So you can think of this like your Google Drive, where you have folders and files. Concept 3, prompts. When building with AI, we have a saying, garbage in, garbage out. Let's say you want to build a website. If you give Claude a prompt that says, build me a website, the result will be very generic. The problem is that Claude has no context about who you are and what kind of website do you like. There are three parts that make a prompt good. Part 1 is the role. In this case, you will say, you are a web designer. The second part, specific instructions. You will say, hey, I want you to build me a landing page, and this is my business. I have a consulting business. The third part, specific examples. So go ahead online, find the website style that you like, and get Claude both the link to that website and print screens. If you give it print screens with specific instructions, hey, I want a section with about me. I want you to include the calendar. Here is my business brand style. So the more information you give it, the more specific your prompt, the better the output quality. Here is another example. Claude can also build you carousels. You can use them for LinkedIn, for Instagram. A bad prompt will be build me Instagram carousels. The output will be generic AI slop. So definitely it will not guess what your ideal carousel looks like. A good prompt has the three parts I mentioned. The role, in this case, an Instagram growth designer. The instructions, hey, the topic of this carousel, let's say I want to build something about top methods, how to grow my audience, right? This is the topic. And the style. So if you already have some past carousels that you published, upload them here. If you want to just get inspiration from somebody else, upload the print screens. Next up, permissions. When you use Claude Code, you will open it in a specific folder in your computer. That's called a workspace. Let's say you are building Instagram carousels in that particular folder. Sometimes Claude will need to create, edit, or delete some files to get the job done. It might also run commands to connect to third-party apps. Let's say you want to copy some influencer from Instagram, right? Permissions decide how much of that Claude can do on its own and how much has to check with you first. Ask before edits. Claude checks with you before changing anything. This is the safest, but the slowest. Edit automatically. In this case, Claude changes your files on its own, but still will ask you before touching anything outside this folder. For example, let's say it connects to a third-party app, Instagram. Auto mode. In this case, Claude does most of the things by itself, only asking you when something could be risky. And plan mode, this is different. Claude thinks first, it will write out a full plan with multiple tasks and only builds it after you approve of that plan. You should start with the most restrictive one and then speed it up as you trust it more, give it more and more permissions. Next, we have tools. Let's have a look at this conversation. I just asked it to act as a social media growth expert and create me a carousel with 5 slides based on these examples. And I gave it 2 print screens as a reference, the second one. So it's able to use all the commands to read, analyze the images, and write some carousel for me to preview. It first creates it as HTML. If I will approve it, it will transform it to PDF so I can simply upload it to Instagram. And another tool, it's actually able to open the browser and render that created file. This is what it created, so I gave it the role, the inspiration print screen, and the topic. This is how it looks like. Now let's imagine that in the same week, we want to build multiple Instagram carousels and a fresh website with 3, 5, 10 pages. Wouldn't it be amazing if Claude remembered all the details about my carousels and the website I want to build? Well, here's the problem. Whenever you start a conversation with Claude, in the beginning, you just send a few messages in your chat window. So in the beginning, the accuracy is very high. The longer your conversation gets, the more messages you send in the same chat windows, the lower the accuracy. When Claude starts to forget things and starts making mistakes, we have a name for that. It's called context rot. Now, the question is, when I open a new chat window, how many words can that chat window remember? Well, the answer is, with the smartest Claude, we can have up to 750k words in a single chat session. Sounds huge, right? But it's not. The problem is that once you start filling it up, and when it gets up to 60% fill, the forgetfulness starts to show up. So, what's the solution? How do we keep Claude accurate from start to end? The solution is simple. We have 3 options. When you fill your chat window about 60%, you can use a command called clear to wipe it up. You can make a summary of your conversation using a command called compact, or you can even close that chat window and open a new one. Best practice is, in a single chat window, you work on a single task. Let's say you open a chat window, you build your Instagram carousels. Then you close it and open a new one for your website. So now you have a couple of chat windows that you already closed. You started working on your website on Monday and you closed that chat window. What if you want to pick it up where you left off? You can do that using this command with --resume, and you just select which conversation do you want to continue. This is called the conversation history. Next, we have Claude.md. Think of this file as a sticky note you will leave for your Claude, and it reads it every single time you start a new chat window. You write the sticky note once, and from then on, Claude already knows all the rules. So if you tell it, hey, I am the founder of a consulting business, it will always remember this detail. You never have to repeat yourself. The best way to picture it, it's like training a new assistant on day one. You will have to spend 10 minutes telling them how you like things done, but after that, they just do it, no more reminding. This file lives right in your project folder. You can open it up, change a rule, and Claude follows the new rule from the very next message. That's it. One little file that turns Claude from a stranger to someone who actually knows how you work. Next, we have models. Claude isn't just one brain, it's three brains, and you must pick which one shows up. Haiku is the fastest and cheapest. Think of it like a really quick assistant. It's great for small jobs like renaming files or answering simple questions. Sonnet is the everyday worker. It's smart, balanced, not too slow, not too expensive. This is the one you will use most of the time. Opus is the genius. It thinks the hardest, catches things the other two miss, but it costs more and it takes longer. You will bring Opus when the task is very important. The trick is matching the brain with the task complexity. Don't send Opus to make coffee. And don't send Haiku to do brain surgery. You can switch between them anytime, even mid-conversation. Next, we have tokens. Tokens are how Claude counts what you say and what it says back. One token is roughly 3/4 of a word. So when you will write, build me a website, that's about 4 tokens. Why does this matter? Because every token costs money and every conversation has a limit. The longer you talk with it, the more tokens pile up. Both your messages count and Claude's replies count. Here's the part most people miss. Claude rereads the whole conversation every time it answers to you. So a chat that started really cheap can get expensive very fast because the bill grows with each new message. The cheaper models cost less per token. The smarter ones cost more. That's how the whole pricing system works. Once you see your conversation as a meter that's always running, you start writing shorter, cleaner, and more specific prompts. And this way, your bill will drop a lot. Next up, slash commands. These are little shortcuts. You will type a forward slash and then a word, and Claude does something instantly. No full sentence needed. Type /clear and the conversation resets. Fresh start, just like wiping a whiteboard. Or type /help and you get the menu. Type /cost and Claude lets you know how much you've spent so far. And here is the cool part. You can make your own. If you do the same thing every week, you can say, for example, hey, every Monday, please look at my calendar and summarize my meetings. You can save all of that inside /Monday. So next time, one word does the whole job. So slash commands are basically your personal remote control for Claude. And this is huge. Big tasks turn into a single command. Once you will start building a few of your own, you will feel like you are flying. You will move so much fast in your day-to-day job. Number 12, memory. This is the part that Claude remembers things between conversations, not just inside one single chat, but across all of them. Imagine you will tell Claude on Monday, I'm a vegetarian. And on Friday, in a totally new different chat, you will ask for dinner ideas. Claude already knows not to suggest chicken. That's memory. What's neat is Claude often picks this stuff on its own. You don't have to say, remember this. If you mention something important about you or your work, Claude quietly writes it down in a memory file, and it pulls it back on its own when it's useful for later. Then we have compacting. We've touched on this before, but it's something I use on a daily basis, so it's worth mentioning by itself. Every chat with Claude has a size limit. Once you fill it up more than 60%, Claude starts forgetting earlier parts and the replies get worse. Think of it like the ChatGPT hallucinations you are probably familiar with. Compacting is the fix. Just type /compact and Claude makes a summary of your long conversation into a one-pager. Only the most important stuff stays. My recommendation is, when you feel like Claude gets forgetful, hit compact. Number 14, skills. If you are doing something on repeat, 2-3 times a week, it's worth creating a skill for it. A skill is like a recipe. In my case, I'm doing video editing every week. So my recipe has 5 steps. I cut the silences, clean the audio, add captions, render and upload my videos. So what did I do? I added all 5 steps in a single custom skill. And this way I just hit the skill name / edit video and all the recipe it's done in one go. Number 15. Hooks are like little traps you set for Claude. When something specific happens, the hook fires automatically. Picture a tripwire. You decide what trips it and what happens after. For example, every time Claude saves a file, a hook can run a checker that makes sure the file is not a duplicate. Or every time Claude finishes a task, a hook can play a sound so you know it finished. You can also use hooks to block things. Say you never want Claude to touch your password file. A hook will stop it before it even tries. Hooks are free, fast, and reliable because they don't use any AI. This is why they don't cost tokens. In other words, hooks are how you teach Claude your boundaries without having to explain them every single time. 16. MCP is the way Claude plugs into the rest of your tools. Without it, Claude only sees your chat window and the files you sent or the print screens. But with MCP, Claude can talk to your Gmail, your calendar, your Notion, your bank. Think of MCP like a USB cable. It just connects Claude with other apps. Once you've connected all the apps you are already using in your day-to-day job, Claude can now run parts of your business. This is the aha moment most people get. Next, we have sub-agents. This is like a little helper you can send to do a job in the background, like a little helper for Claude, while you keep talking to it in the main chat. Picture you are a chef and the customer asks for a steak. You don't cook it yourself, you just send it off to the kitchen, and when the food is ready, it comes out. That's a sub-agent, off the back, doing the work and then handing you the result. This is very important because you are able to spin off multiple sub-agents in parallel, and this way they get the work done way faster. The second advantage is that each one of them has an isolated context, so the knowledge and the work of sub-agent 1, it's not polluting the knowledge and context of sub-agent 2. This means that the project sub-agent 1 does, it will have high quality because its memory is separate from sub-agent 2 or 3. Sub-agents don't talk to each other, so in case I want to just research 3 different competitors, each one of them will handle a different competitor, right? So I don't need to give information about competitor A from the first sub-agent to the second one. So each one works by itself and the result is fed back to the main chat. What if I want an entire crew? So for example, let's say I want to build a 5-page website and each of my helpers need to talk to each other, right? So if I build multiple pages in parallel, each one, in this case, needs context from the other. So if the first one builds the home page, second one the contact form, and the third one it handles the styling, all of these need to know of their teammates' work. So you can think of this like a real world team. Next, we have checkpoints. You can think of this as the undo button from Microsoft Word. You are already used to that. So at any point in time in your conversation, you can rewind at any of the checkpoints. Let's look at our conversation, the one that we had before. Remember this chat window? We created some Instagram carousels a couple of minutes ago. So let's say I want to rewind. Well, all I have to do is to press this little button right here and the conversation will go back to that exact moment in time. 21. GitHub is like Google Drive, but for your code. You will upload the folder you created in your Claude project and all the files you have in there. You upload it from your computer online. So in case your laptop dies tomorrow, all your work is saved. It's fine. But it does more than that. It is like a backup. And every day, let's say, I will build a new feature for my work and another one. GitHub gives you the capability to go back in time. So at any moment, if you want to know, let's say, what did I work on last Tuesday morning, you can go directly to that version of your project. The second superpower of GitHub is enabling multiple people to work on the same project. So remember, Claude works in a folder on your computer. But if you want your colleague to also share the same project with you, you have to get it from your local computer to GitHub, and this way both of you can work on the same project. Next, we have plugins. Think of the App Store on your mobile phone. You don't reinvent every app yourself, so if you need an application to do something, you just go to the App Store, browse existing apps, tap install, and you just use it. Well, plugins does just that, but for Claude. So think of your day-to-day work. What repetitive tasks do you want to automate with Claude? Let's say I want to build a website. You must search if there are already existing plugins for that. Then let's say I want Claude to write me blog posts, newsletters, but use my exact brand voice. Search to see if there are already plugins for that. You just plug and play the existing plugins and customize it to your own needs. Number 23. Inside your chat window, you can send more than words. Of course, you can type, but one of the most powerful features is to send it print screens. So whenever you are trying to build something and it doesn't work as expected, take a print screen of that problem and send it directly into the chat. You can also upload any type of files, Word documents, PDFs, PowerPoints. Claude can read it all. It can even handle handwritten notes. So if you have something, a sketch that you did on a paper, take a photo and upload it into the chat. Next, we have the scheduled tasks. My goal is to automate as many of the repetitive tasks that I have to do on a day-to-day, and I don't even want to open the laptop or the chat window. So how can you do that? Well, it's very easy. You choose a recurrence. Let's say every day at 8 a.m. I want Claude to summarize any new leads I have in my inbox. And you just create this scheduled task so Claude starts by itself without you even touching it. 25. Browser automation. If you spend half your day copy-pasting data between apps that don't talk to each other, browser automation is a solution for that. Claude can behave like a human. It can take control of your computer, open Safari, Chrome, switch between apps, and actually do the work instead of you. To make this easy to implement, I created a cheat sheet and I attached it in the first link in the description.